No. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're live again. Holy crap. So sorry, guys. So basically what happened was my stupid touchpad on my MacBook Pro here is so sensitive that I just went like this and it went back, which killed my live stream. And then I stopped and started it again on my OBS because I'm a dummy. So this is my first live stream, guys, on Indy Mogul, so give me a break. Flip it. Oh, the image is flipped now. How's that? That's hilarious. My flip screen was flipped out so I could see myself, and because of that, the stream was backwards. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to have to privatize this so Ted doesn't see it. He's going to kill me. No, not really. All right, so any more C70 stuff that we want to talk about? Let's just get back on topic here. Gosh, I'm such a total noob. I'm sorry. I'm sweating bullets too. It's hot in here. We turned the air off for the audio, so hopefully the audio is still good. Canon Log 2, a lot of you guys might be familiar with cinema cameras. Canon Log 2, ironically, even though it's not 3, has more dynamic range than Canon Log 3. Canon Log 3 has less dynamic range, but is a little bit easier to grade. It's rated at 14 stops. RF mount, again, you know, is going to be great. Let's see. My Polaroid cap is mirrored. Yeah, I fixed the mirroring issue. Thank you everybody for coming back on the stream. Oh my gosh. We already got most of you guys back. So thank you. Okay. I'm just not going to touch this anymore. Let's talk more about the a7SIII. So get your comments ready for that. If you watched my comparison with the Ari and the Venice, as you guys prep those questions, hit me with any more C70 questions. I'm just going to give you my overall initial thoughts of the C70. I want one. I personally want one. I think for what I do here on Indy Mogul and what I do personally for other YouTube and internet related content, it's really the perfect cinema hybrid with kind of a hybrid DSLR body type of thing. It's small, lightweight. You got the flip screen. You got the amazing autofocus system. I'm really excited to get my hands on one and try it out. Obviously, I don't have one. A lot of the YouTubers didn't get them. I was a little surprised by that. It seems like kind of the established blogs and I think camera stores got them. So like B&H, Adorama, CVP, Pro AV, all those channels are camera stores. So I'm assuming that they did that for them. Let's talk about the 9:16 vertical capture mode. This is pretty hilarious. I'm going to try to throw an image up here on my screen, but you can actually shoot in vertical with this camera, which I find hysterical. Let's see. I have it in my downloads folder, I believe. Yeah, so check this out. I'm going to put it on my screen here. Isn't that hysterical? So this is the first like real camera that I've ever seen that has the ability to shoot in vertical. Should I put it over here? Is it more balanced over here? But there's actually like there's actually a 1/4-20 on the side where the grip is, and you can screw in a tripod. And in addition to that, you also have the ability to rotate your display so that when you're shooting, everything is straight up and down. Now, as funny as this looks and as ridiculous as this is a real thing that is happening now with TikTok, with Instagram, IGTV, even YouTube, I think supports portrait mode now. Landscape mode is a thing of the past, I assume. Not really. So, I mean, as silly as it is, This is a one-of-a-kind feature that you just don't see anywhere. The only other way to do this would be with a cage or something like that. But even then, the UI is never going to swap. You know, if you have any camera on a cage, you're always going to have to be jogging your head over. So the fact that they're giving you the ability to flip your image, your UI on the screen, so like your record, your ISO, just all your settings are there in vertical mode, I think is so funny and so awesome. Based on the review from CVP, it looks like the menus aren't flipped, so those are still, you have to like go like this to look at the menus and look at your playback. But the fact that you can shoot and it rotates with itself is actually kind of cool. And if you're if you're a content creator, this is something that might be appealing to you. I think, I'll just leave it at that. What do you guys think of it? What's the worst? Andres Naives. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm butchering your name. What is the worst thing you see of using RF lenses with the C70? I think RF lenses, again, like I said earlier, are full frame. So like, what's the point in buying glass that's full frame if you're only going to put on a crop body? That's the main thing. If Canon makes RF crop lenses, then I guess you could get those, but I don't see them doing that anytime soon. So get the speed booster and use EF lenses, or put a Sigma 18-35 on it. That's going to be the gold lens. So GDR Riley, here, let me finish the C70 questions. What price range does the C70 belong to? The C70 that is coming from Mahmoud Khalid, the price on that is $4,500 USD. So, take that for what it's worth with wherever you live. It is expected to not ship until December of this year, so you're gonna have to wait a while when you put your pre-order down. But I am very excited about this, and we're gonna try our hardest to get one. Let's look at here. I'm gonna put this picture up. I'm gonna grab another screenshot here of the camera so we can talk more about the body of it. It's a chunky boy. It's a big boy, which I like. It's not too big. All right, I'm gonna drop these in here. But yeah, let's say bye-bye to the portrait mode. I'm gonna add another image. OBS. Here we go. So here's the side of the camera. Right there. And you can see on this side here, you got the Indy filter selector. So this is great. You can tell that it's electronic. It's not like a little gear like you see on the original C100 cameras. And I guess maybe that's why it's just a totally new body. So they're not going to call it a C100 Mark III. But like I said earlier, I do think they should have named this the C100 Mark III. It does seem like the ports will get out of the way of your flip screen, so that's nice. You also notice an exhaust vent on the side. Yes, exhaust! We've been wanting exhaust on cameras now because we've seen what happens when there's no exhaust on a camera. Oh, geez. Do I need to get into that? So yes, there is an exhaust fan. No issues whatsoever with overheating based on the reviews that I saw. Wonderful, wonderful thing. Input 1, input 2 on the side. Those are your mini XLR ports. And then the mic jack is your normal 1/8 inch jack. Headphone out, USB-C. You got peaking display, zebras, waveforms on the side, and a full-size HDMI. Wish that was SDI as well, but take what you can from it. HDMI is fine. And the fact that it's full-sized is wonderful. But yeah, it's an electronic Indy switcher. They're like actual pieces of glass that are going up and down. It is not a variable neutral density filter, which is important to note. I personally hate variable NDs. I know, it's shocking. A lot of people use them. I am one of the people that gets too stingy about the fact that variable neutral density filters are two polarizers put together, and when you rotate them, it not only adjusts your ND, which is what you want, but it removes the reflection out of the image, causing your skin tones to look a little pasty, causing the sky to look more vivid than it actually is. But if that's something you're going for, that's great. If I am outdoors and I'm just shooting a bunch of landscape stuff, I'll throw a VND on there, no problem. But no matter what V&D you get, even the expensive ones, they tend to always have some sort of color shift. Gerald Undone did a whole video on this, and Polar Pros is very well managed for sure, but you still get a slight color shift in the image, and it's hard to get that out. So I personally use straight ND for everything. The fact that this camera has straight ND built into it with a little button is wonderful. Let's throw another picture on the screen here. How's this live stream going, by the way, guys? Hopefully it's going well and it won't crash on me again. Here's a side view. Ooh, look at that. There's a side view of the camera. I'm going to disable the one below it. It's using the BP A30 batteries. These are the, I believe these are the new batteries from the C300, C200, which are great. You're going to get several hours of battery life. I think like 4 hours of battery life on one of these. If you get the big chunky one, you can get even more. This is what you want. You want a pro video camera battery. The ones that are in hybrid cameras just fall apart. C70 screen brightness, weather sealing, no weather sealing, and I don't know anything about brightness because I haven't seen one. Also, again, new people here. If you want me to answer a question, do @Indy Mogul and then ask the question. That way I can see it. It's nice and bold. It's easy for me to read it. Okay. And then one more image, and then we'll move on to the a7S III, because I'm seeing some comments saying, shut up about the C70 already. I want to talk about the a7S III. So bear with me. I just want to show this one last image. Look at that. Look at that nice chunky flip screen. Beautiful stuff. The back, the layout's great. You got a little nipple on the side there, so you can adjust your focus points. You've got your XLR, adjustment levelers right there underneath the screen. Really well designed, and I am very happy with this camera. So moving on. Let's see. So get your a7S III questions ready and fire away. Kava Sadi says, can you please comment on the a7 III versus a7C? I don't see a point with the a7C. We are going to be getting an a7C soon. Maybe we'll do a comparison with that. The a7C does have some upgrades over the a7 III. I personally think you should get that one over the a7 III if you're starting fresh, for the flip screen and some improved color as well. I think Gerald did a video about this. Check out Gerald's video. But give me your a7S III comments now. I will just end the C70 talk with saying it's everything I always wanted the C100 to be and more. 4K at 120 frames per second is perfect. I don't need any more slow-mo than that. 120 is great. I guess if I could kind of like put anything in it, I would say I wish it was the C500 Mark II sensor in it instead of the C300 Mark III sensor, because I love full frame. But we have the option now to use the speed booster thing, which is really nice, with the RF mount. I love the body. I love the flip screen. I love the color science of Canon. It's amazing. It's hard to beat. The dual pixel autofocus is fabulous. The built-in NDs, long battery life. It's a little pricey. You know, I don't personally have $5,400 to throw at buying a camera like this. So cameras like this, the S5 for $2,000 are still an option. The XT3 just dropped to like under $1,000 now. So you can do 4K 10-bit for under $1,000. So it's a crazy market out there right now. And yeah, but I do think the C70 is great. So let's talk a7S III. We will be receiving our actual unit soon, hopefully next week. I've been seeing people getting their units now shipped. Personally, I loved using it for the week that we had it. We did the comparison with the Arri Alexa Mini LF and the Sony Venice 6K full frame cameras. I will say, I didn't mention this in the video, but the fires were happening and it was really bad when we did those shoots. So even though we were shooting like in the middle of the day when it was sunny, it was still like super overcast and everything was really muddy, and you know, the IR from the smoke caused the sunlight to look really orange and weird. So if you weren't aware, you know, of that, then now when you go back and look at it, you might think, oh yeah, I can see that. So I definitely tried to kind of fix the image in color grading. I did a lot of work matching the Alexa and the Sony a7S. I did a lot of work with the Venice as well, but it was a lot easier to match those two because they're both Sony cameras, and I was really surprised with the results. From a pure image quality standpoint, if you just looked at one image side by side, it is so hard to like actually say which is better. I mean, yes, the magenta issues on the a7S III are bad, but they're a lot better than they used to be. And as I commented back to a lot of you guys, the magenta issues seem to have gone away now with the S-Log2 on the a7S III and the standard modes on the camera. Go check out Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooters review. He talks all about this. S-Log3 has the magenta problem, but S-Log2 apparently doesn't. So I kind of want to try out S-Log2 now and compare that to other cameras. But the 4K 10-bit is so good. It is so clean. It is clean, clean, clean. Like there is no noise in that thing. All the way up to like 100,000 is usable. And if you go beyond that, which I did do in the video, you know, it's just ridiculous. You don't need to ever shoot at 400,000 ISO actually, but if you need to, it's there. Like if you're in the middle of the rainforest and all you have is a tiny little flashlight, 400,000 still might be more than you need for a little flashlight, but it is truly remarkable how good the camera is. The autofocus is wonderful. The flip screen is great. The build of the camera feels good in the hands. The battery life is excellent. You get about 2 hours of battery. You have the ability to get the XLR adapter to put on top. The IBIS in the camera isn't the best in the world, especially compared to this one, the S5, which in my opinion has the best full frame stabilization I've seen. But you've got options with either stabilized lens, the active steady mode, or the new software. I think it's called Sony Capture Utility or something like that. If you use the software, you can actually do post stabilization on the camera. Maybe we'll do a whole video on this when we get the camera in our hands. But basically, you can just hand hold the camera, walk around, and it uses the like accelerometer that's built into the camera. It uses that data from the shaky camera, and it applies that to the stabilization, similar to Real Steady, or similar to what GoPro is using. Real Steady is a GoPro software that uses that data. So that alone is a huge feature that a lot of people aren't talking about. I've seen Gerald talk about it. I've seen Philip Bloom talk about it on other cameras like the FX9. But the fact that it's there on the Sony is pretty cool and makes it really unique. All right, so I'm going to dive into some of the questions. Have you tried the Metabones EF adapter on the a7S III? I was just wondering how you felt about adapted glass on it. I personally have not used the Metabones one. I have used the Sigma one, and it is significantly better and more reliable. So if you're wanting to use Canon EF lenses, use the Sigma EF to Sony E mount adapter. It's way better. I personally haven't done any tests with it on the a7S III, so, you know, try it out. See if you can get away with it, because if you own a bunch of EF lenses, I understand it's a pain to like switch systems, and EF is kind of a great lens mount now because you can pretty much adapt it to anything. So I understand if you want to keep your EF glass, consider looking into that adapter. And that question was from Remix Sims. Slide Rec Dan, what is up? Can you reduce the sharpness of the a7S in camera settings to make it a bit more filmic when you want that look? So I mean, we were shooting an S-Log3, and that doesn't have sharpness turned on at all. And it's still, you know, it's very sharp because it's 4K and it's Sony. Sony, very sharp. That's, my friend and I always joked about that. Like, Sony's kind of image quality, they always go for like this really sharp, crisp look to everything. So I would probably use filters. Moment just released a new diffusion filter, and obviously Tiffin, the Black Pro Mist series of filters is great. I personally used to use those, and they worked tremendously well to give you that filmic look without destroying or degrading the image. 1/8 strength black pro mist is usually what I would have on everything, and then 1/4, 1/2 for when you need it. So that's what I would do. And if you really need to like soften it, you can do it in post. Like just put a blur filter on it. I've done that too. Just like 0.3% blur on the image. It actually can help. How does image quality on the Nikon Z6 compare to the a7S III for 4K 24? Is the Sony worth the extra money? That's a great question, and we probably won't address that on the channel, but I will address it personally to you, Israel MV123, because I owned a Z6 for a long time, and we used it as our primary camera on the Kinetica YouTube channel, and we shot everything in 4K 10-bit on the Atomos, and we found that image to be very good. It was super clean, it was really high quality, and I thought the colors looked good on it. The thing that makes the a7S III better, in my opinion, is the autofocus, and the color science has improved greatly. I think the color science on the new a7S III is much better than what I was getting on the Z6, even in the log mode. And the lens options are better. You have a much wider ecosystem of lenses with Sony E-mount. You have the ability to put XLR on the camera. There's just a lot of other little things about it that are better. But if you're a photographer, if you already own the Z6 and you're happy with it, then stick with the Z6. They both do ProRes RAW out of the HDMI now, which is nuts. But in terms of the body and just a lot of those things that you can't really look on a spec sheet, like the flip screen, the incredible autofocus, and the full-size HDMI, which the Nikon doesn't have. It's those types of little things that make it better, in my opinion. But I actually think the IBIS, the stabilization, I think they call it VR or something, on the Nikon is better than the Sony, for sure. So, I don't know. Indy Mogul, is autofocus still decent if, for example, you placed an EF speed booster adapter to use Canon lenses? Tosio, I kind of addressed this earlier. I would try it with the Sigma adapter. I would imagine that it's not perfect. Do some Google searches and do some YouTube searches. I'm sure people will start to compare the autofocus with those adapters. So I can't speak to that because I didn't try it. I was using a G Master lens. Rehan Rajaput asks, on the a7S III, is there any way to get a DCI 4K image out of the Ninja 4, out to the Ninja 4? I don't believe so. I think it's only Ultra HD for now. I can't confirm nor deny that because I personally haven't tried that and I didn't look into it. So I'm sorry. If somebody knows the answer to that question, please answer for Rehan. If there's anybody new here watching, I want to remind you to please do @ Indy Mogul if you have a question. And I want to tell you guys again, if you weren't at the beginning of this live stream is the first one we're doing. We might do one a week. Who knows? But these are only going to live on YouTube for 24 hours. So after 24 hours, they will be unlisted on this YouTube channel. We'll probably post it on the Facebook group or on Reddit or something. This one in particular, we may re-edit it, put them together, and then unlist it because I ruined the live stream like twice. So sorry about that. Amazon is clutch. Got my a7S III today, this morning. Daniel, congratulations. That is awesome. Donald Weiser. So, a7S III or C70? Wish the C70 had the same autofocus as the R5. Yeah, it's still really good, though. I personally haven't used the R5, so I can't tell you. And if I were to say one or the other, somebody literally was like holding them in front of me and said a7S III with a lens or the C70 without a lens, I think I would still... Oh, shoot. That's a tough question. They're both really good, and they both serve different people. I don't know. I think I might still go Sony because of the way that I work and the way that I shoot. I need that kind of hybrid camera. So... for thumbnails, for, taking pictures of my kids, things like that, I want to have a good stills camera as well. And 12 megapixels on the a7S III is fine. Also, the color science has gotten so good. The lenses are amazing. It's much smaller than the C70. I don't know. I think personally, I would go with the a7S III. I think. And by the way, I'm live streaming on the Olympus EM1 Mark III right now, which is my personal camera. So, how's it look? Probably looks terrible because the HDMI output is awful. Let's see. Ask me a question at Indy Mogul. So a7S III or C70? Oh, I already asked that. Let's see. Perfect. We got a bunch. What do you guys think of the Kinephoto Mavo Edge 8K? I don't know. I know nothing about it. I just know that 8K is like nuts. And maybe we'll do some Kinefinity stuff if you guys want to see that. S1H or a7S III? Oh, a7S III in a heartbeat. It's just smaller. It's got better autofocus. I need the autofocus. I'm one of those dumb YouTubers that use autofocus. So it is what it is. Electronic IS versus warp stabilizer in post. I personally like to do electronic in camera because it just saves a lot of processing time in post. And I personally have found it to be pretty reliable, especially on certain cameras like the Olympus that I'm shooting on right now. The electronic stabilization on that camera is nuts. The S5 is good. And the active stabilization from Sony seems to be really good as well. So I just do it in camera. I will speak a little bit more to the review that I posted yesterday on Indy Mogul, comparing it to the Alexa and the Venice. I know it's ridiculous. Who's going to actually compare these two cameras or these three cameras? Those cameras are so expensive and they're so out of people's price ranges. We just wanted to see if it actually held up, and that's really what that whole thing was all about. I was seriously shocked with how well the A7S held up against especially the Venice camera. It's not a huge surprise because, you know, they're both made by Sony, but I heard, you know, that it was going to have Venice color science and then it didn't. But to my eye, it was pretty dang close. So if you're a Sony shooter, like a pro shooter, you can absolutely match those two cameras. They both looked amazing. And that was really the thing that I was just so shocked by with the a7S III, is that it's finally like fixed. I feel like the color on those cameras is finally solved. Like that whole Sony color science sucks thing, that can go away. Like they've really solved it, especially with the S-Log2 mode that Caleb Pike talks about on DSLR Video Shooter. And in my personal opinion, the standard creative style on the new cameras, the a7S III, the ZV-1, and some other camera, I think the A7R4 or something, they have this new standard creative style mode and it looks so good just out of camera. So color's good on Sony's again, which is nuts. All right, let's look at some questions. A7C or Panasonic S5? S5 all the way, Ram Sripati. S5 for sure. Maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll compare this to the A7C when we get one. Mostly for the 10-bit, for the better IBIS, better body style. Yeah, if I were given an option between those two, I would do the S5. Will Catalyst Browse work with third-party lenses and gyro stabilization data, aka Tamron E-mount glass? The Burgundy Studio asks. Yes, because it's all just inside of the body. It has, I don't think it has anything to do with the lens. So, yeah, a third-party E-mount lens should work. Jason, having compared to the Sony to the Alexa, how did the rolling shutter compare coming from an S2? I'm really looking at the Komodo global shutter. The a7S III's rolling shutter performance, I should have done a side-by-side comparison, is very comparable to the Alexa. The Alexa actually has rolling shutter problems as well, ironically enough. There is a motion cadence and kind of like something you can't really put your finger on with the Komodo, with a global shutter, that just feels cinematic and it's really nice. But the a7S III is totally managed well. Not an issue, not something that you even need to worry about anymore. I don't know the millisecond count on it, but it's really good. Travis Latum asks, for someone that films live acoustic performance videos and pulls own focus manually, what would you recommend? A7S III, C70, Komodo, Zcam of some sort? I would, I mean, if you're really throwing up all those options, even including the Komodo, which is the most expensive one in that list, I would go with the C70 because I think your life is going to just be so much better because the workflow with that camera versus the mirrorless cameras and just the overall just built-in everything, having that built-in XLR, having a nice touch flip screen, having the ability to just record proxy simultaneously. You have autofocus if you need it, but if you don't, totally fine. Built-in NDs. It just has everything in one package, whereas the other options don't have that. And if you're a person that's just doing a lot of long shooting, those Canon cinema cameras are hard to beat. Even if you're shooting in like 1080p, they're great. You can do 10-bit 1080p if you really wanted to. So I would go with the C70 if you're doing any like long form type of stuff for sure. It's just so much. It's just a good workhorse. Sierra Creative. If you had to choose one today, Komodo, aka Kimono. You guys ripped me up like crazy in the comments on that video. Apparently it sounded like I said, this is the right kimono. Kimono. See, I said it. Kimono. Komodo. Kimono, Komodo. Kimono, Komodo. I don't know. But yes. Or the Sony a7S III. You can only have one. 1, 2, 3, go. Komodo. And then I'd sell it and then buy an a7S III. No. I can't do that. That's genie rules, right? You can't ask for 100 wishes. Again, I have to come back to like my personal. I would do Komodo. It's just fun. It's a fun camera. It's global. It's raw. It looks sexy. People love it. People are like obsessed with it. So like it's fun to have. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to review. It's a fun camera. Whereas the a7S III is just, it's just a really good professional hybrid camera. So. Can you explain the 16-bit raw output on the a7S III? Brian Lara asks. I don't really know what to say on it other than it can do 16-bit raw. We don't have any recorders that can do that yet. I imagine that if they're announcing this, there'll be something soon with Atomos and maybe Odyssey and other companies that make recorders. I would imagine that the files will be larger, but just like when you talk about 8-bit and 10-bit, even though you're going from 12-bit to 16-bit raw, it might it's only 4 number, it's only 4 more. Well, when you talk about bits, you're talking about like millions more information. So just going to have more color information, which is going to be better in post. So more better, right? But I'm sure the files will be larger. So it's going to be a give and take on what you want and need. But if you're shooting on a Venice and you have an a7S III as a B cam or crash cam, you could do 16-bit RAW and it'll match up. It's a very professional setting. So the fact that it's there is nuts for 3200 or 3500. Excellence Adigun asks, sup, I use Canon 250D. It's great to use, but I can't seem to get as clean and sharp shots as I would like. Any tips? Yeah, great question. I think... first off, I don't know if you're talking about photos or videos. I would assume, since this is a video filmmaking channel, that you're talking about video. I'm not sure if that camera does any type of 4K. That alone is going to be a big jump from 1080p. And using good lenses helps tremendously. So if you are only using like a cheaper kit lens or something that, is very affordable, then you might not be able to get sharp images. So I would look into vintage lenses to save some money and shoot manually, or if you can afford it, get like a nice lens, or consider upgrading your body to a newer, more modern body. Even the Canon M50 is a great option still to this day, and it's a mirrorless Canon camera that can do a really good 1080p image. Let's see. If you have a question at all, could be about anything really, do @Indy Mogul and let me know in the chat. I'm just reading here. The Burgundy Studio. Okay, I already answered that. Slide Rack Dan. Again, is there any way to make a7S III show shutter angle instead of speed? That would be the cherry on top, like the GH5. No, there's no feature there. I don't understand why Sony doesn't do that. Like the a7S III is clearly like a professional video camera. It's doing 16-bit RAW out of the HDMI, full-size HDMI, mind you. I don't know why they don't have waveforms. I don't know why they don't do shutter angle. I mean, this S5, which is like a consumer body from Panasonic, $2,000. They're calling it consumer. It's like prosumer, but this is going to have an update soon that will do shutter angle. I don't know. I guess we just need to complain about it to Sony. Sorry, excuse me. We need to complain about that feature to Sony. Almost everything that we have complained about over the last couple of years in terms of I missed the trash can. In terms of the flip screen and the color science, the battery life, the HDMI, micro HDMI, they've solved it with the a7S III. They've literally solved a lot of the big gripes about the system. So now let's start talking about software. I mean, the menu system is better on it. That's great. That's a nice step in the right direction. The menu on the new a7S III is fabulous. I hope they use it going forward on other Sony cameras, but it's not on the a7C, which is curious. But yeah, we should just beg them to make it. Remember, guys, stay hydrated. Tim Doeke asks, a7S III or Blackmagic 4K/6K? I personally, again, a7S III all the way. I owned a 6K, Blackmagic 6K for a while and used the 4K as well. Both have incredible image quality, but the battery life on them is terrible. The body itself is really cheap and plasticky. Not a great professional solution, and it's not a great stills camera, and it doesn't have any autofocus, doesn't have a flip screen. There's a lot of reasons why I would go against it, even though they're cheaper. Shoapfik Bandy Yo Yapye, I'm so sorry. Atomos Neon monitors can record 16-bit Pro as Neon? Cool. Atomos Neon? Cool, yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. If you want to record 16-bit RAW, buy starting at $4,000 17-inch monitor. Yeah, so if you want to shoot on a 17-inch monitor that's $4,000, you can record in 16-bit RAW. Thank you for that clarification, though. I know you're just clarifying. I know you're not actually suggesting that it is like a Ninja. The Ninjas are, on-camera monitors. Let's see. Awesome. If you have a question, again, do at Indy Mogul. Any idea when the Sigma RF lenses will come? I have no idea. Vincat K. I have no idea when they're coming. I know they are coming. They announced it. I don't know. That would be nice. Sigma had some great lenses for the L-mount series, and I'd like to see those same lenses carry over to the RF series. There's a 40 millimeter that's nice and compact. There's a 24-70 that's nice and compact. So, please don't litter the Indy Mogul studio. Sorry. Okay. Is C70 good for video journalism? James Yates asks. Absolutely. I think this is the perfect kind of upgrade camera if you're using a C100, C300 type of camera, or you just need something that does continuous recording without overheating. That's just kind of a no frills 4K machine. And it's 4K 10-bit, 422. So great. If you don't want it, you can shoot 8-bit if you want. If you just need to have web videos and you don't want to deal with all the 10-bit goodness. But I personally, even if you're just outputting to the internet, would shoot 4K 10-bit and do the proxy mode if your computer can't handle it. And just starting with a nice clean image always gives your output a better looking image at the end of the day. So yes, great for video journalism. You got 2 XLR ports on it. You got a great long-lasting battery. a7S III or C70, Jesse asks. I did answer that. I think I would still go a7S III because I need a hybrid. I need a hybrid camera. But I'd like to have both. Yeah. I have the Blackmagic 6K and I pre-ordered the a7S III. Which one should be the A-cam? I am Rick Bonanilla. I would switch to the a7S III as your A-cam because of the full frame sensor, the image quality, the low light performance. But then again, if you're a big fan of that Blackmagic color science, I don't know, it's a toss up, but the battery life, the XLR inputs, the reliable autofocus system. That's an A cam. That's like if you're doing an interview, you have that camera on with the XLRs, just rolling, tracking on the face. So if the subject's moving, it tracks them. And then your B cam, the Blackmagic on the side, zoomed in to 7200. You know, that's just your B cam, just built-in audio. You know, you could even plug it in if you need to, but that's what I would do. Any cripple hammer on the C70? Javet Soy asks. Yeah, I mean, there's no raw. It looks like there's some strange things with LUTs on the camera that Tyler Stallman found. So we'll just have to wait and see. But according to what I'm seeing, I mean, if price is a cripple hammer, it's expensive. It's $5,400. So you're getting into the territory of a red Komodo. But it's a different camera than the red. It's really more of a documentary, you know, perfect kind of like wedding camera if you have the money, if you're a wedding film production. Unfortunately, weddings are not happening anymore right now, that's for sure. Toysio, what is the best native lens that can be paired with the a7S III? It depends. I personally like the Tamron lenses. Now you said native, so I'm just going to take it as Sony E. Obviously, the best zooms from Sony are the G Master lenses, and all the G Master primes are incredible. But I really love those Tamron lenses. They're small, they're lightweight, they're super affordable, and they're constant f2.8. There's a 17 to 28, a 28 to 75, and a 70 to 150. They're all 1.8, and they're all like under $1,000, I believe. And they're all f2.8 aperture, and they're small. So in my opinion, that trifecta of lenses is perfect. Let's see. How flexible is the a7S III's S-Log compared to the Blackmagic B-RAW? Well, and post asks, it's not, you can't really compare it. It would be better to compare it to the ProRes on the Blackmagic. You know, when ProRes RAW comes to the a7S III, then we can compare it to the B-RAW. So to answer your question, you know, the S-Log is very malleable. They're saying it's like 14 stops, 15 stops, but I think it's 13 usable stops. So, you know, compared to the Blackmagic, it's pretty comparable. They both have different color signs though. So it just depends on what you want. But I think the RAW comparison will be what we want to see when the RAW update comes. Let's see. If I'm switching from Sony a7 III, but I also want stills, is it worth buying the R5 for stills, but also to match up with the C70 for video at Quancy Mon? No. Stay away from the R5. We're gonna do a review on those cameras, hopefully. I have heard mixed things about the R5. Matty Apoya just got one. He said he had no overheating. Armando Fiera talks about how his don't overheat when he's using them. I personally don't like the idea of shooting with like a bomb in my hand that's just like at any moment could overheat. I understand that in their use cases where they're just kind of shooting a couple minutes at a time, turning the camera off, they're not shooting continuously. The fact that like if I need to shoot continuously, and that just happens, you know, when you're doing a shoot, something comes up, something's happening, you end up needing to shoot for 20 minutes straight. I don't want to have a camera that's going to just bomb on me and overheat. I'm sorry. And then use a lesser quality mode. I don't want all of my dollars going towards a camera that overheats. If you think about it, that camera costs equally the same as an a7S III. And all of your dollars are being utilized on the a7S III with no compromises. It's not going to break. But if you put all that money into a camera and you end up using the low quality mode just to have it be usable, your dollars are not being used well. They're not being spent on the image quality. All your money is not being put towards the best of what that camera can do. So in my opinion, no, stay away from it, man. Get two C70s if you need Canon. Because the Canon, all your money is going towards that thing and it's not breaking. It's actually, there's no compromise. It works. So that's my two thoughts. My 2 cents. Those are my thoughts and my 2 cents. How long have we been doing this, by the way? Shoot, this thing's been on for 45 minutes. This is great. How are you liking this, by the way? I feel like my energy's a little low. Maybe we should do this again with Ted or Tway or Matt, the editors who are involved in this shoot or in this channel. So let me know, in the chat here what you think of this live stream, because this is the first time that I've done this. I'm a little nervous. I'm not nervous. I'm trying to figure this out. So hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully. And what did you think of that video, by the way? Did you like the comparison video? Okay. Any tips on nailing exposure for shoots on the day? Planning on renting GH5 and shooting mostly outside at night and dark interiors. Sam or K. I don't. It's kind of that's a good question, because I think that's a question we all have. Any tips for nailing exposure on shoots on the day? Waveforms on the GH5 is very usable, very useful feature. Turn on the waveform monitor and look up on Google how to read a waveform. But basically, if you cross a certain threshold, it's peaking. So you just want to keep it below that. I typically expose to the right, which means on your histogram, most of your images on the right hand side, because when you pull it down in post-production, it really lowers the noise on the image. So that's typically what you do when you're shooting log. However, it might look a little overexposed in camera. So best option for shooting raw under $10,000, hoping for full frame and internal NDs if such a camera even exists. Yeah, I guess the closest would be the ND thing is throwing it off, because there's really nothing like it. The FX9 from Sony, how much is that one? That one has internal NDs. That is right at $10,000. So you're looking at spending $10K for the camera with no accessories. So I don't know if that qualifies. Look at the Sony FX9 if those are like legit things that you need. If you need a small camera, I think the a7SIII is really hard to beat. It's probably the best full frame budget camera for cinema, like ever. It's unbelievable how good it is. Sam asked, by the way, hello, if you're new to the stream, leave a comment, do at Indy Mogul, and then that way I can see the question that you have. Ask me any questions you have about the C70, the a7SIII, or any other cameras on the market right now. I'll try my best to answer. I'm definitely not like a genie. I don't know everything, but I'm going to do my best. And also, I want to just say thank you, everybody who's watched the videos that I've done over the last month. I've only been here since August 10th, and it's been really just a dream come true for me to host this channel alongside with Ted, and to work with Tway and Matt, who are the editors here, and Jake, who's our producer. It's Jake, Ted, myself, Matt, and Tway. So there's only 5 of us who work here, but it's a great team, and we want you guys to kind of get to know everybody on the team. So we're going to try to incorporate everybody a little bit more. Maybe on another live stream we'll have someone else here so that there's not a lot of like dead air like we're having today. But these live streams are something we want to do more often. We're going to unlist and privatize this video probably after this stream, because this one is almost like a trial. I don't know if anybody would want to watch this one later, because you guys are awesome, but I ruined this stream twice. It actually like crapped out on me twice. So, but anyways, I just wanted to kind of overall say thank you guys for accepting me into the Indy Mogul family. It's been a real joy for me to host it and to do this and to live in LA now. I come from Orange County area, so it's quite a difference here in LA. So I haven't really enjoyed that, because I loved being by the beach. That was really nice. And being near mountains that are on fire isn't the best. So hopefully that'll get better, though. I'm sure it'll get better. I think they say like mid-October is when the fires are supposed to be under control. So it's still crazy over here, guys. Wherever you live, I'm sure it's much better. Okay, I lost my train of thought here. I'm going to find another question from Gene Mark Abella. Thoughts on 4K 120 only available being long GOP I always think it's good slow-mo needs all-eye high data rate. That's correct. I mean, I want to shoot everything in all-eye, especially slow motion. So we're going to have to just see. I don't know if you're talking about the C70 or the a7S3, but yes, all-eye is always better. So your thoughts there are correct. Saratha Chanda, I hope Canon provides a raw update in the future with SD Express cards when SD cards are released. Yeah, that'd be great. I think you're talking about the R5 and the R6. You're fine. Calm is good. Okay, good. The stream is great. Great thoughts and inspiration. Awesome. Thank you guys. Can you give me cameras, please? I wish, like, it looks like we get all these cameras, and we do. We get them to review them. And they're loaners that we don't get to keep the cameras. So I personally don't own any cameras. Every camera that I shoot on personally is a loaner or is owned by Indy Mogul. So right now I'm shooting on the Olympus camera, which was loaned to me from Olympus when I worked for my previous company, Kinetica, and they haven't asked for it back yet. So I still have it. Do you have any thoughts about the Blackmagic 12K camera? Yes. My thoughts are, yes, please. We want to review it. We talked to Blackmagic. We're going to try to get one to review because that's really fun. 12K. 12K. Unbelievable. So, Thomas Kim, have you seen the new C70 Pro AV? Just released a new video about it. Is it new? Or are you talking about the one that came out today? I mean, it's amazing. The C70 Pro AV. Looks like he's doing a live stream tomorrow. So check out Pro AV tomorrow. He'll have a lot of great thoughts, I'm sure, about it. Let's see. Do you have any thoughts about the... Okay, we already answered that. Sorry, guys. I'm reading your comments. I'm doing my best. I need somebody else. I need like Tway or Matt to just sit here and read the comments. a7SIII or Komodo, the video you did was awesome. Take my money, please. Skinny was here. I think if somebody handed me one or the other and price outside of it, I still would take the Komodo because it's just really fun. I love the R3D. The color looks great on it. The global shutter, everything about it. But from a practical standpoint, an a7S3 probably fits my workflow better. Please do a comparison between the 6K Blackmagic RAW versus the a7S3 ProRes RAW, if possible. I'd love to see 16-bit ProRes RAW. Yes, we will absolutely... Like, we ordered an a7S3 because we know we want to do a lot of content on it. When we receive that camera, we'll try to do our best and make as many comparisons and reviews as we can. So, Marco, Zhang, cool. I feel special now. Hi from China. Hi, China's awesome. My boss lives in China. Wait, this guy's new? Mark Vasquez asks, yes, I am technically new. I am the new host of Indy Mogul doing the gear reviews, and Ted Sim hosts that. I come from another channel called Kinetica, and Ted called me one day and was like, hey, you want to talk? I was like, yeah, sure. He texted me. He's like, can you talk? I said, yeah. And he said, just like straight up, he was like, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. Family's good. He's like, good. Do you want to host Indy Mogul with me? I was like, what? So that moment was pretty fun, and it's just been a real joy for me to be here. My friend Zach Mayfield took over the other channel that I was hosting called Kinetica. That channel still exists. It's still awesome, and he's doing great reviews. He's hilarious. It's from Nashville. Great friend of mine, and I was honored to pass that on to him. I love this job, however, because I have an office space away from my two screaming kids, so I don't have to... As much as I love my boys so much. Here, let me see if I can pull up a picture of them. I don't know if you'll see it on the phone, but like, let's see. I have a... You're not going to be able to see. But I got two boys. This is, the focus is on my face. So if I bring it up close, you won't see it. But that's Ryan. And that's Caleb. Caleb is 1 and Ryan is 3. So it's my pride and joy right there. My boys and my wife, Laura, who she might not want me to show you her, but there she is with Caleb. Beautiful. We've been married 6 years now. And yeah, so I love my family, but it's hard to get anything done because the boys are just loud and crazy. So I was doing everything from home, and this job opportunity came up. Ted hired me, and I'm here on the Indy Mogul team. It's just been great to come into the office and work with other people. We do wear masks because in LA it's still the law to like wear a mask in the workplace and to work at half capacity. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm just kind of making do with that, and we're doing a really good job. Ted set all of our desks up to be like 10 feet apart, and we all wear masks all day long, or I wear a face shield because it's hard for me to breathe in those things. So yeah, if you see videos of us wearing masks when we're out and about, when we're in, it's not like we actually are wearing them because we have to here in LA. That's just the law, unfortunately. So, you know, I don't want to get political, but gotta wear a mask. So anyways, yes, I am new technically. It's been a month. Hi from New Zealand, Neon asks. I'm gonna go to the most recent and work my way back. Shrak Buddy Pahai, do you think future Sony... Sorry, I said your name way wrong. Do you think future Sony mirrorless a7 IV, a9 III, a7RV will have 10-bit or 10-bit will be kept on the a7S series? Till now, we don't even have S-Log in A9. Facepalm. I know, it's ridiculous. I wish the A9 had S-Log because I love that camera. To answer your question, yes, I think we'll probably see 10-bit down the line. We won't see all the pro features like RAW and some of the things that we've seen with the A7S. But I would not be surprised to see 10-bit in the next iteration of the a7 IV. In fact, I would wager that it will have it because of the existence of the a7SIII. In my opinion, the a7SIII basically is an a7 III. So why would you buy an a7 IV if it's just marginally better? It will probably have 10-bit. And I imagine they're doing flip screens on everything now. I hope so. Maybe not some of the photo cameras like the R, but the a7 IV with a flip screen for like under $2,000, 10-bit 4K. That's going to be nice too. Hi from Nepal. I am planning to buy the Lumix G9. I'm mainly focusing on doing music videos and corporate videos, and main focus is to make documentaries. Is my choice a good one? Anup Adhikari asks. Yes, your choice is great. If you really like the Panasonic ecosystem, if you like Micro Four Thirds, the IBIS on the G9 is fabulous. And with the new firmware update, you get 10-bit. I think the color looks better on the G9 than the GH5, but the GH5 does give you more pro video features. So if you're mainly doing video, maybe look at the GH5 or the GH5S. However, all that being said, I do think that Fuji is crushing it right now, and in my opinion, makes Micro Four Thirds less appealing, especially because Panasonic seems to be focusing a lot of their time on full frame. I have a hunch that Panasonic is probably going to slowly sunset the Micro Four Thirds system. I did speak with Matt, who is my contact at Panasonic, and he said that they are not abandoning Micro Four Thirds. Full frame is just another addition to their lineup. So that is what Panasonic is telling us. But based on Olympus not leaving, but kind of slowly dying, and Panasonic not putting a lot of attention on Micro Four Thirds, I would imagine that it's just not the most robust and thriving ecosystem to be in. So if you have the money, consider the S5. I think this is, if you're a Panasonic fan, this is seriously this is a full frame GH5. It's great. Full frame, 10-bit, 4K, 4K 60 in the crop mode. The IBIS is wonderful. It's literally the same size as like a G9. Great camera. Highly recommend it. Flip screen on it. But if you want to go outside the ecosystem, the X-T4, the X-T3 are both incredible from Fuji. The X-T3 is even cheaper. It's $999. So a lot of great options there for you. Reach Films. Hey, I remember you saying you pre-ordered a Stormtrooper Komodo. Did you change your mind? Yes, I canceled it because all the crazy stuff going on just in the industry. I heard rumblings of the C70, and I also got this job. I don't know if, like, I was probably aware of it, but I didn't know if this job was gonna like fall through, and I ended up spending way too much money moving, and just life in general. So I personally canceled my Komodo order because my life changed. I didn't need to buy a camera anymore like I did when I was with Kinetica. So I did cancel that, unfortunately. So I lost my place in line, which kind of sucks. But yeah, it is what it is. What are your thoughts on Canon RF glass through Visual Media RES? RF glass is fabulous. It's some of the best, highest quality mirrorless glass on the market. I love the build quality of it. I love the click ring on it that you can actually declick as well. I owned a 15 to 35 for my EOS R and loved it. It's just too freaking expensive, and they're big and heavy. They are balanced better than the EF lenses were, because this is made now for a mirrorless system. But compared to Sony, they're just chunky. But that being said, they're amazing. The quality of them is fabulous. So in terms of image quality, they're some of the best around by far. Canon is kind of known for being really a lens company, not a camera company. I've heard that said before. Canon focuses on being more of a lens manufacturer than a camera manufacturer. So I don't know. Hi from Bosnia, Sebastian Zelik. What's up? That's crazy. Steven, hi Dave, you're awesome. Glad to have you on Indy Mogul. Thank you so much. That's really, really, really kind. Thank you. Glory Meat asks, what's a great laptop for editing? Depends on your needs. If you're a PC person, I can't really speak to that because I haven't used a PC in like 15 years. I personally have, this is my own unit. This is not Indy Mogul's. This is the 16-inch MacBook Pro, and I maxed it out when it first came out in 2019. I think they did a refresh this year, very minor bump. I love it. It's done everything I throw at it, even the 6K Komodo stuff. I didn't max out the RAM, max out the video card. I didn't max out the processor because it was very marginal difference. And I got a 1 terabyte SSD. I wish I got a 2 terabyte. Sarah Dici just talks about this on Twitter, and I agree. I think the way that I work, I'm constantly just throwing stuff on my desktop to edit because the internal drives are so fast. So I'll take everything from the server that I'm working on and put it on the SSD. And then when I'm done, I'll copy, I have the project in the server backed up. And yeah, so I do work off of the SSD because it's just so fast, and I can just unplug and go home and work on it if I need to at home, or I can work on it on the go. The way that I work is different than most. I know a lot of people just use travel drives. I used to do that for years, but ever since I became a YouTuber, I started using my desktop because I'm just mobile so much, and I don't always have the drive with me, and I don't want to have to dangle it off the computer. So also Apple Silicon's coming out soon, so I would not upgrade, to a MacBook anytime soon. I think there's going to be some new Macs soon with Apple Silicon, so I am not going to touch this probably for another maybe 2 years. I think this thing will probably last me another solid year or two. It's really doing a great job for me now, and I don't imagine it to be bad in 2 years. And who knows, in 2 years, Apple Silicon MacBook Pros, they're going to be awesome. Beard Gang, Cole says, I guess I kind of have a beard. It's kind of more of a scruff. Caden Knox asks, what's the best camera for vlogging? I'm planning to shoot a short film. I'm on a budget. What camera should I get? Great question. There's a lot of great cameras right now. It's almost overwhelming how many good cameras there are. It really just depends on your budget and depends on your needs. If you want to be a vlogger, which it says, which you said, the original EOS R is great for 1080p vlogging. But then you're looking at real expensive lenses, so it might not be the best option. This Panasonic S5 is wonderful for the price. 10-bit 4K, 4K 60 for $2,000. I think if you want to be a vlogger, the ZV-1 is also a great option. Super compact, very affordable for what it is. Built-in lens though, you can't change the lens. I don't know. a7SIII also is fabulous for vlogging. It's a flip screen, autofocus, all the Sony stuff. Yeah, I'd say pre-order an a7SIII if you have the money. And if you want something really cheap, the Canon M50 is still to this day an amazing option, and it's super cheap, like $300, $400. So, why not shoot with an iPhone? Great question. iPhones are great. They look awesome. I shoot my kids on my phone all the time. It's there. It's always in your pocket. The image quality is getting better and better each year. The big problem I have with it is the sensor size is just too tiny. It's so small. It's like half the size of your fingernail. So that's always going to be the kind of Achilles heel of the mobile phones. Unless they can figure out a way to put a bigger sensor in there, you're just not going to get the same quality that you can get with even a Micro Four Thirds camera. And obviously the ability to, not put lenses on it. If you could put a faster lens on your iPhone, that'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I still use an iPhone for like documentation purposes. Totally fine for that. But I do think there's still a need for real cameras in the professional world, for sure, for photos and video. Which do you think is the best mount lens available from and most promising future lenses, Sony E or RF? CeeLo asks. Oh, CeeLo. I definitely think the Sony ecosystem is just, it's way richer than the RF system. I know there's more third parties kind of coming into play with the RF, and I'm sure that Canon will continue to develop it. But Sony just has so much money and so much R&D and so much success in other areas. I mean, think about Sony as a brand. They make computers, they make monitors, they make TVs, phones. They make literally all the sensors in every other camera. They make sensors for mobile phone cameras. They have so much money that I'm a little worried that in 10 to 15 years, Sony may be the only camera company left. And then all the other companies will just kind of license the technology from Sony. This is just my speculation and ideas, but I think Sony is probably the safest bet right now. The E-mount system is very rich. You've got options from Tamron. You got cheaper options from, what are those third-party companies? Viltrox and all sorts of options. So, I'd go Sony. CeeLo. Heroic Angels asks, what should I do with old camera equipment and unused film equipment, especially after upgrading? I sell everything. I sell stuff on eBay. And recently I really like gearfocus.com. If you're familiar with audio equipment, reverb.com is basically the audio version of it. They only take 3%, gearfocus.com. Whereas I think eBay takes 10% of the sale. So that's what I would do. Just remove all emotion from it, unless it's like a family heirloom or like an old classic camera that you have a real connection with. Like in my case, I had a Leica M3 that I love from my great uncle. That's a family heirloom. Unless you have something like that, just sell it. The tech is only going to get worse and it's only going to drop in value. So get rid of it while you can. But make sure you've decided that that's what you want to do. All right. This stream is now officially total, I think, an hour and a half. I am unfortunately going to have to end this live stream. It has been a real joy for me to do this. It's the first one I've ever done here for Indy Mogul. So thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties we had at the beginning of it. Follow me on Twitter at Dave Mays. I am very active on Twitter. So if you're a Twitter person, follow me there at Dave Mays. And the next review that we will be doing is with the Fuji X-T4. Hopefully we'll be posting that either next week or the week after. Again, like I said previously, it is a real joy and honor for me to host this channel alongside Ted, doing the gear reviews. It has been a huge change in my life, and it's been enjoyable for me to meet a lot of you guys. I haven't met any of you before, so it's really cool to interact with you. If you guys like this live stream, let me know on Twitter and say, hey, that was fun, and we'll do this again sometime soon. So Maybe we'll do it once a week. Who knows? All right. Thank you guys. I'm so sorry if I didn't answer your questions. If there's a question that is just like killing you, tweet me at Dave Mays and I'll try my best to answer. All right. I'm ending this stream and I'm going to unlist it. Bye.